Hello and welcome. This is Rooflemonger. My friends, it is the big patch day, and yes, Ermac is now here and playable in Mortal Kombat 1. And you know, that by itself would already be a big deal, but this patch is a sizable patch. There's a lot going on just in general, and also with some pretty big balance changes heavily affecting some characters. So first off, we're in a new season. So we got all sorts of new skins. We got new invasions, all that kind of stuff. There's new premium skins in the skin store, including this Shao Kahn one, which I'm going to buy right now, actually. Hey, there we go. Fast forward, we bought it. Look at that's a good skin. Come on. I know some of you guys get all sassy about the skins and all that, but that's a good looking skin. And on top of all this stuff here, obviously we have a myriad of bug fixes, also some slight netcode adjustments. They didn't specify, but generally netcode adjustments equals better net play, so I'll take it. And yes, crossplay is finally introduced into King of the Hill. So now we can have proper crossplay across the board like you would think, and that's fantastic. But let's get more into the minutia of things. So we're going to dig into it now. As you would expect, timestamps will be everywhere. There's some smaller changes, and some characters got some pretty big revamps. Some for the better, maybe some like Raiden for the worse. But yeah, let's get into it. So for Geras, this is like a quality of life change, but it's a really good one, is adding UI elements. You might notice here in the bottom left, he now has a hourglass charger. So depending on how many charges of the hourglass you have, you and your opponent now get to know whenever they're looking on the screen. And when it's filled up and you get access to your restorative super move, it's all nice and glowy, and then, you know, it's good to go whenever. Small change, once again, quality of life, but good change. Now, Raiden, let's call it for what it is. Kind of got big time nerfed. Electromagnetic storm, this guy. If you use Raiden, you love it. If you fight Raiden, you hate it. So this got a significant nerf, a couple significant nerfs, actually. So in randomized interactions, it no longer has a vacuum effect, like pulling in the enemy, if they're airborne, unless it's in a combo, so your combos won't be affected. But just kind of snatching people out of the air, not so much anymore. But the big thing is on block. This is like your kind of core block string move, right? So on block, it now has much less pushback. Only the last hit has any pushback at all, really. This is for the regular version. Enhanced version still has some pushback to it. Also does less overall damage, so that's a nerf here. And the big thing is for the regular version and for the enhanced version, both, they are now much more negative on block. They are now negative 22 on block. So yes, you could still call, you know, whatever ambush you're going to call, right? That's still a thing. But it's very significant. Specifically, as written in the patch notes, they will have 10 more frames of recovery on block. So the easy block string button, not so much anymore. Now, he does have one. They just sort of shifted it around a little bit here. So down back 2 is now the dedicated block string special. No more electromagnetic storm with all of his chip damage. So down back 2, otherwise known as Razzle Dazzle and Enhanced Razzle Dazzle. It's a little slower startup, 1 frame more startup, but it has 5 more frames of block stun and pushes back more. So negative 11 from this far, you know, like you're not reaching for the most part, right? So that effectively makes it safe-ish for the most part. They also gave it a fun little buff here. So if you have your electric charge, this is Raiden's passive ability where if you block, after a while, once you take enough chip damage, you'll gain like electric charge and moves get better, right? So if you have the charge up and you do the Razzle Dazzle move and you specifically hold the button, it generates a new kind of knockback. So normally it's just the same move it's always been, but if you hold the button, you burn the charge, and yeah, the regular or the enhanced version doesn't really matter. You'll have super increased knockback, -5, basically a full reset to neutral. Because while it's technically negative, -5 from this far away doesn't really mean anything. Now on the flip also, there's another nerf, electric charge itself here. It now takes twice as long to get electric charge going. So while the opponent's attacking you, you're going to have to take more life loss to chip, basically, before it'll kick in. As you can see here, I've blocked a fair amount now. It's still not kicked in just yet. There we go. Finally kicked in. It took a while. Jeez, I thought it might have been glitched. It's significant, right? So yeah, it's going to take a hot minute for this to kick in. And, you know, kind of you use it, you lose it, right? And it's just not going to be as prevalent across the board. Raiden just got nerfed. Like, let's call it for what it is. He just got plain nerfed. Obviously, down back 2 is no replacement for Electromagnetic Storm. Yet it's forced to be the replacement because, well, Electromagnetic Storm was just, like, it was obnoxious. Let's call it for what it was, right? It's not a positive, fun fighting game interaction. When it's just string, get this, assist call, just forever and onwards. Like, unless you were playing Raiden, that wasn't too interesting. Let's put it that way, right? So, like it or not, that is the change for Raiden. Now, Rain. This is where a lot of the fun stuff of the patch begins. Rain has all new moves. Straight up. There's going to be a theme of the patch. You're going to see some new moves, right? And not only does Rain have new moves, these are actually new strings entirely. So we have forward 1-2, which is a charging forward string. And also, just FYI, it is -6 on block. So you're going to lose your turn, but you're not necessarily going to get punished against most of the casts. So that's pretty interesting. And next is back 3-4. Now, despite appearances, it is indeed a mid. You know, low quick launcher, you know, considering the general threat of his overheads and all that kind of stuff. Well, we'll take what we can get, right? But yes, it is indeed a launcher. You can do all sorts of fancy shenanigans with it, not the least of which here, actually speaking of fancy shenanigans, is the base projectile and the hold and the cancel. So quite a few of the moves that he has, they changed the frame data around, they tweaked the frame data around because some new fun routes are opening up here. Thanks to the cancel, and the cancel being much faster than it was before, that means, yes, that is indeed a combo. So we went from our back 3 into our special, dash canceled our special, 4-2-1, and yes, it all is a combo. And we can do a lot more fun routes. Like say 4-2-1, right? 4-2-1, 4-2-1, projectile, dash cancel. Hey, there we go. All naturally comboed, thanks to the dash cancel being faster. That one specifically is a little tight, but basically all sorts of new combo routes are gonna be opened up for Rain. So if you're looking to do some silly stuff now, silly stuff is on the menu. That's not even it. So we got new moves, we have all new combo routes, and yet there's still even just a bit more. Okay, so the base projectile, charge, dash cancel, new hotness, right? But now also the charge, you can cancel into other special moves. So now when you're threatening it from, you know, full screen, this is meant to be, you know, the primary zoner thing, which it never really was, right? But now if you can threaten this, threaten charge, canceling out a charge, and then threatening this into other special moves, that seems pretty all right to me. So say we hold charge. Okay, am I going to go for that, you know, high damaging, high projectile? Or will I cancel out and go into like Rain Meteor? Like, who knows? Like, these are options. So Rain is almost a new character. New moves, new combo routes, new threats in neutral, new everything. Like, Rain is definitely winning big time in this patch. Now, how about someone that's winning good, winning big here in this patch? That is Reptile. Reptile is doing great. So let's just go down list here. A string like 1-1-4. It can now be canceled into Falling Fangs. And now you might notice, well, it doesn't exactly combo, sure, but trust me, we'll get into some stuff here. Everything else start making more sense, right? Things like 2-3 and 4-2-3. So as they're written here in the patch notes, they both now move farther. So just makes combo ability just a lot easier, basically. Also, the actual hitboxes, hit regions, as NRS terms them, are expanded while doing these while the opponent is airborne. So just basically doing combos with this stuff is easier now than it was. Reptile did have some trickier combos, so now things should just be easier across the board. Charge back 2, the big old leaping overhead, is faster and recovers faster. So they shaved a few frames off the startup if you hold it all the way, and once the move is complete, it also recovers quicker. That's great. So Falling Fangs, okay, you know, you've seen it, you know it. How about this? You didn't see that one before, have you? So Falling Fangs can now be canceled. So just do the move and hold down, and he'll cancel his way out of it. Now, once again, this is an airborne only move, but now we have new strings that count as airborne for us to do it, so we can get really tricky with it. Like, say we go for 114. We're pretty negative and we're directly in front of the enemy's face. So say you're not great at hit confirming, right? You need the whole string. That, you know, it happens. We're not all gods, right? But now, you can hit confirm that, and you can be -10 from far away. You basically almost fully reset the neutral. That's awesome. That's just a clean, okay, this didn't work. I'm off you. Let's get back. That's cool. That's great. It also turns stand 3 into an amazing, just harassing poke. Reptile's always had like a very unique stand 3 compared to most of the cats, right? So stand 3, if it connects, the first part, now has more hit advantage. And with more hit advantage, 3, cancel on the Falling Fangs canceled, now lets you combo after the fact. Which means stand 3, his very long range neutral button, is a combo starter in and of itself, making it way more powerful. How about all new special moves? Like a proper non-force ball projectile. Yes, sir. So if you know down forward 1, the classic spit, enhanced spit, all that kind of stuff, right? How this works is simply hold the button. That's it. If you hold the button, he'll get a high speed, high projectile. Yes, it's a high. You can duck it, sure, whatever. It's Mortal Kombat. That's how that works. But you now have a proper full screen option that's just not force balls, which even in of themselves are not full screen. Now, you got something to work with, right? And enhanced version does more damage, knocks down, and it's just a new tool for the toolbox. So overall, Reptile just getting new tools to play with, strict benefit, strict big buffs. Now, Scorpion's got a new tool as well. It's not quite on the level of what Rain or Reptile is getting, but new is new, right? So he has a new string. He has forward 3, 4. And I know on its face it doesn't look like much, but it's very interesting because it gives another layer to forward 3, 2. So forward 3, 2 is, you know, the mid launcher, right? And mid launcher, very powerful for all the reasons a mid launcher would be. But the second hit is indeed a high, right? So you can block the first and then kind of duck the second and bop him and be on your way, right? But this new string here, 4, 3, 4, is mid. So with that in mind, that means if you're doing this here, the enemy is trying to neutral duck or something to avoid that high, you can bop them. And it's only -6, so don't worry too much anyways about getting punished. You know, certain characters, but for the most part you're safe, right? So this is basically just adding a layer of call out to forward 3, 2. If you know and are smart enough to avoid the high, it says, nah dummy, there's another mid coming your way. Also, jumping 1, 1, 2 got changed up. So the hitbox got changed up, the landing recovery got changed up because you can act right away, how the opponent is affected got changed up, and basically this means when you put it all together, we got new combos. Now I'm no Scorpion player myself, I'm sorry, so I'll leave it to you guys to figure out new combo routes with that. But yeah, we got some new tools to play around with. Once again, not as drastic as Rain or Reptile, but there is some stuff here. Okay, Peacemaker. Now, Peacemaker is certainly in the nerf territory. He's certainly made a splash since his debut, and some people have found him pretty strong. So let's go down the list here. So, stand 2 does 20 less damage. Used to do 50, now does 30. We have EX Gunshot. The second and third hits of EX Gunshot now both do less damage. Human Torpedo also does less damage. Enhanced Sonic Boom does 20 less damage. So basically, just across the board with these strings, these moves doing less damage, combo potential, damage across the board is just going to go down. Sure, that's fine. But that's not the big one. That's not the one that drove everybody nuts. So Force Field. Force Field's kind of the one that was driving everyone crazy. So Force Field made him completely immune to all projectiles in the game. And now, as you can probably see here, Force Field, the base Force Field, now does not last as long. Now, Force Field still tanks projectiles, all that kind of stuff, right? But it doesn't last as long, and also specifically, it can now only take 2 hits. So if you got like a multi-hitting projectile coming your way, that's it. It's not going to tank everything. And also this applies to the EX version as well. Basically, you got 2 hits to go through. It's still really good. It still gives you, amount of immunity to, well, the game, as it were, because you can kind of just confidently walk through everything, right? But it is now no longer as dominant, and it was dominant as it was before. Now for cameos, we got more Kung Lao nerfs here. Every patch kind of hitting the boy more and more and more. So Buzzsaw can no longer hit an airborne opponent unless it's in a combo, meaning, say it's on the ground, right? And you're jumping. Before, if you were just to jump on it, like you would bounce off, get combo, so on and so forth. Now how it works is I can fully land and block in time. I do got to block low. It is a low after all, right? But you do have that option. So, you know what? Even after all of its nerfs, it's still honestly still a pretty good move, right? But it gets less and less dominant each patch, and this is just the next little nerf to bring it down just a little bit. Now, for cameos, Shujinko is the big one here. We got even more buffs. Every patch you get some buffs, some changes, to the point where, like, I know they want to make him a thing, right? And that might be the case this time around. We'll see, because if it's not, then he'll get buffed the next patch again. But yeah, so a lot of his moves that he can do all got better, like all of his copycat moves, right? Usually like the frame data one way or another got a little bit better, but he also got new moves. So now he does high psi, like always, right? But if you hold down, he'll do the low psi. And low psi is a low, FYI. And it's really strong as well, because low psi is an EX, right? Like the regular psi toss is whatever, costs you half a bar. But if we do it here, it's still only half a bar. So it's actually like kind of strictly better in a lot of ways. Like say versus Baraka, right? The quarter circle back assist was the air stabs. But now if you hold down while doing it, it instead becomes his launcher. And like you can totally combo after the fact, right? Like this is really strong. Like say versus Astra, quarter circle 4 normally is their big mid projectile, but if you hold down, then it becomes the dark stance low. And this is the case for pretty much every character in the game, right? The frame data is going to be different. I'll have the patch notes for you in the video description. Want to check out the particular numbers, new moves, new everything. Like they want Shujinko to be a thing. It's just simply a matter of time of he's going to get buff after buff after buff until it's inevitable and he becomes the best cameo in the game. And that is the patch. Once again, patch notes in the video description if you want to check out everything. There's a lot of things that are just like, little bug fixes and whatever. And stuff like Invasion's a new season. You can check that out yourself. That's not really in the purview of this channel. But as far as like the big changes go, yeah, Raiden got nerfed. Sucks. For him anyways. Good for other people. Same thing with Peacemaker. Rain is almost a new character with the new things he got. Reptile got so many new toys. Even Scorpion got a little bit to work with, right? I do like that NetherRealm Studios, unlike other studios, are willing just to add new moves in regular patches. Like a lot of other games, if there's a new move, you better believe it's like a year 3 new subtitle version of a game. For an NRS game, a new move, it could just show up in a regular patch. Who knows, right? And I think that's really fun and really cool. But that all said, that is the patch, that is the video, and well, that's it. So thank you very much for watching. Hope this video has found you well, and go out and play some Mortal Kombat.